Come with me today and we're going for a little trip down memory lane with the 2006 Peugeot 307 1.6 16 valve, and we're going to be doing a little timing belt on it. As you can see, we've got the vehicle fully raised. We've removed the wheel and the inner wheel arch lining, and also we've just drained the coolant out of the bottom hose there. We're going to get our 15mm now on the tensioner here, and we can remove the alternator belt and get this crank pulley off. Now we've removed the belt, the crank pulley, and also the lower timing belt cover, which is just by there on the floor. All the bolts are kept in a nice safe place. We can now lower this car down now and get that engine supported on a jack and a block of wood. Once you've got the car back down to working out, do not forget that block of wood on your top of your jack, because the chances are you might crack your sump if it's aluminium, and steel you might bend it. So we can jump around now to this engine mount, which is held on with some E14s, and we'll smash this off. Once you've removed both engine mounts, put them to one side. What I always do, a little tip, put the bolts back in so you're not losing them or getting them mixed up. Now you can jump around to the plastic timing cover, which is held on with 6mm, and once you've removed them, it should come out nice and easy. But you do need to unclip the wiring loom from it. Look at that, dreamy, so easy these are. Now all the covers that are off, we need to get a 22mm on the crank, and we need to get this engine timed up. Now, I've had this kit years and it covers all the Peugeots. What we need to do is get the pins, or these holes here, lined up with the holes in the cylinder head, and we can put some pins in it. It's as simple as that. Just like that, them pins are in the camshaft, and what I've done, there is a timing tool that goes behind the oil filter, which is one of these, and it's a little bit fiddly, it all depends on what oil filter housing's fitted to it. But what I've done is put a little mark on the crank myself with a little bit of Tipp-Ex. Now we can get on that 13 now. Back and the tensioner off. Like so. And we can get that belt off. It's kind of hard to do it one-handed. Now you don't need to do this, but I always do just to make it easier for myself, and I don't like mess on the floor. Get yourself a little receptacle. We can remove the water pump, and then all the water goes into the drainer. The only reason why I do it this way is because there's nothing worse than like walking around in antifreeze, it's greasy in it. Oh, it's just horrible stuff. But anyway, let's remove this water pump. Now after you've got that water pump out, give everything a nice clean rooney with a bit of a wire brush or 3M Scotch pad. And we're going to put a little bit of red rubber grease now around that O-ring, and we're going to slide that water pump in and get it torqued up. Now while we're underneath the vehicle, my bloody light's gone flat, there is a line on the new timing belt which marks up with a V in the crankshaft. So what we're going to do, put the belt on from underneath, and you get these little clips, and they just slide on, just like so, and they keep that belt in place. Now we're back underneath the bonnet. As you can see, I've already changed the pulleys over. My preferred timing belt kit is Schaeffler. It's a brilliant piece of kit. Now if I go on to auto data for the timing and all the timing torques, you can see that guide pulley there. We've got no torque settings for it, but however, if you just go on to the Schaeffler app, it shows you everything that you need from that little barcode there. And going off their technical data, that tensioner roller down there is 20 to 23 newton meters. Anyway, let's get it fitted. Now I've got the timing belt on. Now you're probably all going to agree with me on this one. Putting lines on timing belts and pulleys so you know that everything's lined up correctly, like this. See the little groove in the pulley there, and one there. We've got lines on the belt, so you know that everything is timed up perfect. What we need to do now, get my tensioner, 6mm Allen key, anti-clockwise, and you should see the little needle at the back there, and lining up with the groove, hopefully. Then once that's lined up, we can get that nut then torqued up to 22 newton meters. And once you're happy with all your timing marks are perfect, all we're going to do now, I'm just not going to bore you putting it back together because it's about a 10-15 minute job. Now we've got everything torqued up, we can now pull our pins out of the camshafts, like so, put them to one side, and we can turn that crank over now twice, so it's a full revolution of the engine, and make sure that all your marks are lining up correctly. Now please, please, please do not try and line these marks up again with that, because you'll be forever trying to turn the engine over. They just won't. You have to make your own little marks or put your pins back in to make sure it's perfect. Now after you put your belt on, you are turning that engine over. This applies to all timing belts. When you're winding that engine over, If it locks up, you know there's something wrong, so you have to start again. But in my occasion, we haven't done it wrong. And we're going to get all these lines marked up properly. Now we've pretty much finished up at the top here. I'm going to put the wheel arch and stuff like that back on in a minute. But while I'm doing that, I'm just going to use my vacuum and refill system to get all the air out of this, the coolant system. After we've fitted that water pump, it's going to be able to check for leaks as well. So by the time I've done all that down there, if this gauge is moved, we've got a leak. If it stays where it is, we can get some new antifreeze in it. Right, now we've finished doing everything what we need to do. Let's get some coolant in it, and that gauge hasn't moved. So all we can do now is flick this little switch, and that now is filling that system beautifully. Once we've finished with everything and we're happy, we've got refreshed coolant in it, we can get on the key and give it a big stab, really. Beautiful. Anyway, that is one time belt replacement. Now, that noise that you can hear, that like whining, it is the thrust bearing, which we have also got a clutch put in this car. What I'm going to do is let this car now get up to temperature, make sure them fans are cutting in, and yeah, we can get a sense.